Well, I felt that considering the number of injuries we had when we started, I think we had 5 women on the injured list, and so the girls really had to step up, work hard, and train hard, and they did. Obviously, coming off such a winning season, they won the 3 titles, the IV, the overall, and the individual. So everyone's gunning for Harvard anyway, and they're gunning for us even more. So it was a very tough season because we felt that if we were not maybe on paper the strongest team, we still felt that we had the experience to work towards getting one or both of those team titles. And so by the end of the season, of course, there was a lot of disappointment, but there was a lot to be taken out of it, especially with that group at the bottom end that had been injured. They worked hard on their rehab. They got themselves back onto the team. And I'm thinking particularly of Bethan Williams and Ali Zinderman. And that really made the difference and allowed us to compete at least for those titles. So we went down to Yale for both titles, but I think the team really felt that we were there and we were ready, and at least we competed. I think everybody at certain times had their moments, but I think the ones that stand out throughout the season, it's difficult to not mention Laura Gemmell. She lost in the individuals in the final, but again went unbeaten through the season. Other mentions would be, I gave the coaches award on the women's team to Bethan Williams. And again, for the reasons I said earlier, coming off a rather serious back injury, getting herself to match fitness, but showing that there's a leadership and a determination and a real intelligence when she plays. She's on the team, on both the men's and the women's team. She is the smartest player, and she really took it on, and I was just very, very impressed. And I mentioned Ali earlier. Ali had one tremendous match against UPenn, sort of a 2-hour barn burner. And the other player that I think needs mention, which is one of our captains for next year, is Cece Cortes. And she worked very diligently, very hard in the game, was very specific, a bit of a sponge for information from the coaching staff, and she had a tremendous season. I think there were a couple of things that stood out. Number one is they were a very tight group this year. Now, I have nothing to compare it to because it's my first season, but they were a very tight group. They were very, very supportive, and generally speaking, it's tough. Here we are as a team playing an individual sport, so every day they come down, and in their challenge matches they're trying to beat each other up, and it certainly takes a degree of maturity to be able to do that and not carry any angst or any frustration off the court after the match. And so I was impressed with the camaraderie, with the support, and it was enjoyable to be with the team on the road trips. They're so relaxed, so considerate of one another. That young lady did everything that a coach would ever want a captain to do or be, and she led by example. She had some struggles with a back injury, and it became a little bit chronic, but she knew how important it was to lead the team by example, and how critical it was to still stay on the team, because when you lose someone at the top, she was our number 3 player all season, of course everyone is now moving up and you're that much weaker. But she was uncomplaining. She always had a smile on her face. She had some very tough matches. I know that in some of the matches she's a little bit disappointed in her performance, but from my perspective, her leadership skills, I mean, there's no disappointment whatsoever. And she also, because of the way the lineup works, she was more often than not the first player, one of the first players on in the matches. So no matter what, win or lose, she had to come off, dust herself down, and lead the team for the next 2+ hours. And she was just there with bells and whistles on, always organized, structured, on top of everything, and supportive. Just a very, very positive attitude throughout. I couldn't speak more highly of her, and those are big shoes to fill.